Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and the market has been so hot the last few days that the news just seems to be coming out of the woodwork. Everywhere I look, there's interesting news in the digital asset space, and so I wanted to first show you the market. We had a slight pullback, not really much of a pullback, but as you see here, one of the only things that's in the green right now is XRP, which looks like it is dying to cross 25 cents. And so should be an interesting day. It is approaching 25 cents and it should be an interesting day to watch this. Okay, here comes some of the interesting things. Now, the first thing is this. The cryptic poet, the Bank of England will work with Ripple Ripple investor Accenture to develop and build this new world-class payment service. Now, let's point a couple of things out here. First, Accenture was one of the first investors in Ripple. Accenture also is the backer of one of the backers of the digital dollar project that Chris Giancarlo runs, the guy that works for a law firm that represents Ripple. It's interesting to see all those different ties. So this is the article. It says let's see, this follows a public announcement which commenced February 2019. The Bank of England will work with Accenture to develop and build this new world-class payment service. And then it talks about RTGS and I won't get into all the technicals of that. This is a big deal. So watch this. It reminds me of this little clip.
Have a certain amount of...
By the way, for those of you that don't know, this is Miguel Baez, who was the head of XRP markets for Ripple.
Confidence in working with you now because you have been legitimized a little bit. And there's also like this, you've joined the club of getting fined because every bank has gotten fined for something. So it ended up actually not being something bad at all for the bank use case and helping the company quite a bit. And you've seen, I mean, look, we work with 90 banks globally. We have 15 in production deployments. It has helped the organization become enterprise grade, to the point where, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the Bank of England announcement today, but Bank of England is using our technology to POC payments internationally using Ripple Solution and ILP.
Well, there you go, folks. All the money. Just as a point of interest, Bank of England created the first bond ever issued, I believe, was Bank of England in the 1600s. That is the last time that a new asset class was created, was bonds in 1696, I believe, or something like that, by Bank of England, or they issued the first one. There are no coincidences, folks. But this, according to I Am Legion, is just a coincidence. But let me take a time out here and highlight this guy. Now, I've been in this space for quite a while, and this guy is probably the best researcher out there. At PAISAN2684986. When the history books are written, people will go back in this guy's thread and be blown away by the things that he found and that he uncovered. And today he is on fire. And so I wanted to give him proper credit. You need to go follow him if you do not on Twitter. Finextra, company announcement, BNY Mellon becomes first bank to offer Swift GPI, right? Here's the article. BNY Mellon has collaborated with Swift to be the first U.S. bank to offer the GPI case resolution service to clients and the fifth globally. This offering marks another milestone in BNY Mellon's commitment towards client-centric payment services and leading the path for other global payments innovation. The one thing I have to mention about BNY, other than what I'm about to show you, which is interesting, having to do with Ripple, is that BNY Mellon has two of their retired executives on the paperwork for PolySign. Okay. We've shown it on the channel before. So since we're talking about BNY Mellon and the Swift GPI, it reminded me of this. Watch this.
And change as we add new channels. So for example, a new channel that we're very actively adding at the moment is real-time payments in the US. So we don't want to reinvent another payment application to deal with real-time payments. We want to integrate it into the payment application we already have. So our technology partners are key in helping us make that happen. We also have a great partnership with our technology folks to evaluate emerging technologies, whether that's blockchain, distributed ledger, whatever tomorrow's new technology may be. They're in lockstep with us to evaluate these things and to figure out what are the right use cases where we can practically apply them.
Okay, so he's talking about, and he's got a Swift GPI name tag on. So what they were talking about, this is back on October 17th of 2016. They were talking about hooking Swift GPI up or integrating these new technologies with it. And that's kind of where they were coming from. Well, as I Am Legion said, there are no coincidences, and I believe this is the case here. October 17th, 2016 is when this guy's at Cybos talking about this, and he mentions DLT. And then just a month later, on November 14th, 2016, Ripple puts this out on their website, BNY Mellon, Reinventing Payments, and does a whole write-up on BNY Mellon and how they're reinventing payments, sorry. Okay, more I Am Legion. I mean, this guy's on fire today. First crypto exchange to be listed on the NASDAQ. Boom. Just in, Diginex Global is using a SPAC to make at Equos, the first crypto exchange to be listed on the NASDAQ. You'll remember we heard the word SPAC out of Barry Silbert just last week, or this week, I think. All right. Also, I Am Legion put some great clips out from Brian Brooks at the OCC. Watch this.
Asking you, if you look back at the end of your tenure as comptroller of the currency and you're able to accomplish your goal in payments, what does that look like?
I think if I had a 5-year term as comptroller, I think it looks like two things. One is there is a national platform for payments companies out there that don't have to deal with patchwork state laws and all of that. Okay, that's the first thing. That brings everything into the supervisory framework. And the second thing we didn't talk that much about is I'm a believer in decentralization. I think at the end of the day, I think that stable coins and other kind of blockchain-based tokenization of dollars are the most resilient model, for long-term faster payments, better than a central bank monopoly on the payment system. And, nodes on networks tend to be much more fail-safe and resilient than centralized administration. So those two things I think would be a big success.
Nodes on networks. That reminds me of Brad Garlinghouse saying that Kahina Van Dyke would be a node on the network away at Standard Chartered. And then there was this clip.
And so if you believe in level playing field, I'm your best friend.
So if you believe in level playing field, I'm your best friend. All right. And then there was this from I Am Legion as well.
All kinds of more radical innovations that we have to unlock, I think, if America's going to remain a competitive market economy. And those have to do with all the things you're talking about. So I'll just take two of them, if I could. One has to do with the speed to payment. So we already have a real-time payment system in the UK, in China, which you've written about, and a number of other places. And somehow in the United States, the best we can promise is that maybe we'll have a faster payment system in 2024. Now, when the government promises 2024, that usually means 2030 or possibly never. But best case scenario, we will only be 10 years behind the UK. That's unacceptable. We know that there are ways of making this go faster, and whether you believe that way is the deployment of private sector built blockchains or all kinds of more.
All right. So very interesting clips. Now, something else you need to see. There are several clips in this that I'm going to play for you. This is, and by the way, let me show you who this is. For those of you, we've got so many new people that are coming into the space right now because the market has taken off. For those of you that aren't aware, one of the guys who is really good at what he does he's got a YouTube channel and a Twitter handle, is Mr. BXRP. I think he's at XRP Mr. on Twitter, but his channel on YouTube is Mr. BXRP. So you need to go give him a subscribe for sure. Now, he interviewed, I think this is one of the first interviews I've seen him do, but he interviewed JP, I think the way you say his last name is Tirrett. I think it's spelled different than that, but it sounds like Tirrett, but I think it's JP Tirrett. But anyway, he's the CEO of Uphold. Now, for those of you who don't know what Uphold is, you know what Coinbase is. Well, Uphold is another legitimate operation like Coinbase in the United States. Uphold, it's up, and if you, I have an account there, I buy things through them. In fact, all the time, and they mentioned something like this in this interview, all the time, it'll be a situation where I'll pull up the Coinbase app to buy like XRP, and it'll say that there's no money in my bank account when there is money in my bank account. And what do I do then? I go to Uphold, and I'm always able to buy the XRP right there, right then. So it's a great exchange for you to have an account with if you don't already. I do. It's uphold.com. So anyway, here's the first clip, and this is news right here, because in this clip he says they're looking at adding VeChain. Listen to this.
We add them onto the platform.
Wow, that's great. Can you say if VeChain is on your conviction list? Is it something you're working on, or should we not talk about that?
Well, it's definitely one of the candidates that's in there. Last time I looked at the list, I don't know, from an actual calendar point of view how proximate it is or it isn't, but it's certainly one of the names near the top of the list.
That's great.
All right, so there's that, and then at the the 550 or so more. Okay. Here's another interesting clip. This is about, for those of you that don't know, they just added fractional equities onto their platform, but it's not available in the United States yet. And he addresses this here.
So another big announcement, another thing you guys recently did that I think is just absolutely a game changer for you guys is fractional U.S. equities. Can you explain what they are, how they work, and when will they be available in the United States?
Sure. Yeah. So fractional U.S. equities means, today a share of Amazon is, I think, a couple of $1,000. Tesla's in the sort of 1,500 range, not insignificant dollar amounts. And so lots of people in the world don't have enough money to buy an entire share of Amazon or an entire share of Google or Tesla, but they'd nonetheless, like to participate. They might believe in the product, or they might be a fan of Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. Obviously, more generally, the U.S. equities market has been a fairly important historical engine of wealth creation, and access to it has been very limited. It's been sort of, the domain of well-off people in the Northern Hemisphere. And so we launched this product primarily to markets where it represents first-time access. So a millennial in Brazil who's perfectly aware of what an Apple product is and probably uses Amazon and probably fantasizes about having a Tesla can now, through his mobile device, without having to have so much money that he's already a private client services guy with Morgan Stanley, he has $500. He wants to invest $100 in Tesla. He can go ahead and do it.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, even people as a conversation piece, they could say, I've got Berkshire Hathaway, when, it used to be $250,000 a share, and now somebody could buy a fractional share and say they're into Berkshire. It's unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, and I imagine a day when people will be able to say, I own a piece of a Picasso, when they tokenize a Picasso. We're moving into interesting times. It really is exciting. I was wondering, though, when do you expect it to be available in the U.S.? I know it's available in the U.S. on other places, and I imagine you guys are now moving toward that.
Yeah, so we've been in a discussion with FINRA and the SEC for about 2 years, and it's an interesting process. There's kind of little you can do to speed it up. We obviously wish it would go faster. It's peculiar, right? We get asked the same questions literally time
I hear you.
and again and again. it's a little monotonous, and it seems rather unfair, to be honest. But I guess we'll wait it out. Okay,
so they're still waiting on that approval in the United States. Okay, there's another good clip at about the 12-14 mark.
People the most, which is security. So as far as people's holdings on the platform, on the Uphold platform, are they technically insured? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's a tricky question, because some things are insured. There's a sort of general insurance over everything that we hold in cold storage, as an example. So it really depends. Obviously, the dollars we hold in U.S. banks, and those are covered by FDIC insurance. This remarkable gold product we just launched, actually, I believe earlier today was the first time it hit the platform. We've already been doing some pre-selling. That'll hit the market, by the way, next Friday will be the first time the world is hearing of our new gold product, which I think is by far the best in the world. But that's actually government guaranteed gold, and I believe it's the only government guaranteed gold out there. Our cold storage solution with our partner Ledger comes, and we hold 90% of cryptos in cold storage. That has a degree of coverage on it. And then we're in conversations with a bunch of insurers about different levels of insurance, which we're sort of in the middle of deciding whether we're just going to go with a sort of sweeping coverage for everybody that probably wouldn't be that interestingly high, or will allow people to opt in and pay for, their own insurance.
Interesting. And I think people will be willing to do that, because the number one concern people have is safety, because they've heard all the nightmares of the old days with the Mt. Gox and all these other things, and the Cryptsies and all this other stuff. But safety and security is the most important thing. One of your competitors has a product that's called the Vault. Have you ever considered doing a Vault-like product? And the only reason why I ask is, and many people listening to us right now maybe don't know what it is, but it's actually a timed event. So it's essentially, I might say, I'm going to take 10,000 XRP out of my account, and I've got to green light it with 2 different email addresses, and it won't happen for, I think it's 48 hours. Have you ever considered something like that?
Yeah, so that's really interesting, because most new features require a lot of speccing and development. We could create that tomorrow. What that is basically voluntarily restricting your own account.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So could we allow people to voluntarily restrict their own account? Of course we could. We could think of it. I think the partnership we've developed with Ledger is really kind of bleeding edge insofar as being a very elegant solution versus some of the other ones out in the market. It's very versatile, allows us to do a lot of stuff on the fly, and it's been, I don't even like talking about the subject, but to date it's been.
Okay. And now there was a question in here about the recent OCC decision that I thought was interesting as well.
I think amazing, probably some of the most exciting news come out this week from the Office of the Currency, the Comptroller, Brian Brooks. And essentially they stated that banks could now hold or custody cryptocurrency, which I think is exciting because it brings a lot more people to the space, so to speak. Do you see a day where a cryptocurrency exchange and a bank are completely indistinguishable? You just can't tell the difference between the two. And what do you think about that news?
Like you, I think it's great news for the space. I think from a competitive point of view, we're not too worried about getting out innovated by banks. That would be hilarious.
I think they're going to be bought by banks.
And by the way, we work with some great banks, but they're not. When people think of banks, those aren't the banks that are working with crypto today. The banks that are working with crypto today are genuinely entrepreneurial, innovative, banks. They're not the bulge bracket firms, from New York that are protecting centuries old, franchises. If those two things were to become indistinguishable, it would be because companies on our side of the equation would get to a point where we were offering enough bank-like services and brokerage-like services that hopefully, continuing to maintain separate bank and broker accounts would become unnecessary. Now, now is a Wells Fargo going to step into the breadth of coverage and possibilities and features that a wallet like ours can provide? I very much doubt it. I doubt it.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay. So, and then there was an interesting clip here about Coinbase. Let's see what they said right here. Ugh, there we go. 24.55.
From those days.
Yeah.
You know, an example, you know, naming one of our friendly rivals, but, you know, I think Coinbase and, you know, Coinbase basically took a dump on XRP every time it possibly could. They were clearly identified with another one of the tribes. I think over time it became, you know, self-serving economically for them no longer to be, you know, strident about that. But yeah, we certainly appreciate when people have memories about, you know, who took a risk on what at what time, right?
And then also 3420. There's so many good clips in here. I'm sorry, but I wanted to make sure you saw this. This guy is really smart, and I wanted to make sure you saw what I'm fascinated by is what Uphold is formulating here, and because I believe that this one company it's kind of like they're bringing everything under one roof. You're going to be able to buy fractional shares, XRP, gold, all these different things. And then you're going to be able to do private equity as well. Fascinating. You'll see a clip from that too in a minute.
I have an exit plan. And one of my concerns is that there may be some exchanges when all of this XRP and Bitcoin and whatever comes flying out of cold storage. I've had a concern that exchanges might slow down the process, and you're saying you don't see an issue, and I think that's fantastic.
No, yeah, I mean, sometimes the networks themselves can get gummed up, right, because you know, of an overload, but that has nothing to do with us. And you know, obviously, one of our competitors seems to always go down when the action heats up. Thank God that has not been our issue in the past, but I don't see why it would in the future.
Yeah, I've never.
All right. And then he talks about the ILP at 37.15. This is a very interesting clip.
Go to different products, right? So can I go from Uphold to Coinbase?
Right. So going from, let's say, closed loop to open loop, right? Where ILP becomes the glue that allows all these disparate payment systems to interact with one another. I think the answer is absolutely yes. We've worked on some super exciting developments with Coil, who's sort of stewarding along the ILP project. We saw a demo the other day where, you know, basically there's a provider of content, and the provider of content you know, was giving their yoga class or whatever it, you know, could be. And as people were signing up, basically using ILP and ILP payment pointers, the person delivering the content can see the money they're receiving scroll in real time, right? Imagine if banks or credit cards could do that. So when you glimpse that, you glimpse the future, right? That is how payments are going to work. And if you say, well, my God, I've seen the future, what can get us there? Thus far, I think the only good answer is ILP. You know, ILP is obviously closely related to Ripple. Stefan Thomas has been the sort of architect and driver of ILP. And yeah, we're helping push it along as fast.
So.
All right. And then the final clip I wanted you to hear, I think this really is an eye-opener, especially for so many new people out there that haven't really been around this space. It's good to be made aware of this company. So
JP, I saw that Bill Saris, the CEO of Link2, recently dropped some news that you guys have collaborated with them in building a new platform. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that there's going to be a few phases to the relationship. The first phase is that folks interested in buying, you know, the late late stage private shares that link to sells, which are pretty exciting. They have sold some Uphold shares, but they also have Coinbase and Ripple and Robinhood and a lot of these particularly fintech, unicorn types. So very, exciting stuff to invest in. You'll be able to use, they'll sit on the Uphold platform. And so whereas before the only thing they would take would be bank wires, now they'll be able to take Bitcoin or XRP or gold or anything that Uphold covers. So that's
amazing.
Pretty fun. And then I think the second step is we will offer link to in our app center. So people, if Uphold is about democratizing investment, we would love to democratize investing in late stage private companies. What an exciting realm to invest in.
Wow.
We'll allow people to do that on the platform.
That's fantastic.
All right. And then this morning, that's all from that interview. But then this morning, Uphold sent this out, introducing universal gold on Uphold. UPXAU is the only form of gold that is free to hold, no storage fee, government backed, no minimum to buy, spendable on a debit card, trade gold backed assets with total peace of mind in the Uphold app. Let's watch this little short video. Well, I don't think it's a sound, but we'll just play it. Spendable on a debit card. Interesting. So you can see this company fascinates me because they seem to really be flying at the speed of light, and they're putting all of this underneath one roof where you can do all of these things. This to me is what digital assets are all about. I saw a great graphic that was sent to me by @ECOSSEXRP1. This to me says it all. This is 1 ounce of a 1 ounce U.S. gold coin in 2020, $1,770. This is what it looks like. Back in 1933, 1 ounce U.S. gold coin, $20.67. Do you see what the central banks of the world have done? They do to fiat every time. This is what happens to fiat. And so, and then now this is where it all ends, is in a disaster like what we're in now. This was from CNN this morning. Just in, the U.S. economy contracted by 32.9% between April and June, the worst quarter on record. And then I saw this. Boeing, this is from Zero Hedge. Boeing plans to eliminate 19,000 jobs this year. I keep saying this on this channel, folks. There's a lot of scary stuff that's going on and a lot of scary stuff that's coming. But the way I always look for the silver lining in everything. And one of the handful of silver linings that we're seeing in the markets now is digital assets, like we've been talking about. But it's also going to be gold and silver. And these people, the people, especially these people that are being laid off. If you're being laid off or any of your family members are being laid off, you need to tell them about iTrustCapital, because iTrustCapital allows you to invest in, you can roll that 401k, and it's not just 401ks, it's always also like 403bs and some other things. You can invest in Bitcoin, XRP, some of these other digital assets you see, and they've added gold that's on the blockchain. There's a link to this in the description of all my videos and a free 1 month off with iTrustCapital. And another thing you need to understand, most of these type of places you go to are going to charge you like 10 or 15%. In other words, you give them $100,000 to invest, to put in your IRA, and they're going to charge you $10,000 or $15,000 right on the front end. Doesn't work that way with iTrustCapital. It's just a monthly fee of like $29.95, which you get 1 month free off through the link in my description. And then after that, you're just paying like a 1% trading fee to when you do a buy. I don't even know if it counts for the sale. I can't remember. But at the other places, you're paying 10 or 15% on the front end, and then you're paying trading fees and annual fees and everything else. It's crazy how great the iTrustCapital thing is versus all the other things. So go check that out and you don't have to have been laid off, by the way. You can just go there and open an IRA if you want to. That's what I did. I went and Well, I already had a Roth IRA somewhere, and then I opened a Roth IRA with iTrust, and I sold out a lot of my current Roth IRA where it is, and then transferred that money so that I didn't incur any taxes, and transferred it into my iTrustCapital IRA. Pretty cool stuff. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that iTrustCapital is the way to go with these IRA, to be able to have digital assets and gold in an IRA. Thank you for listening.